Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you an update on the New England Revolution so far this season. Now, it's been a while since my last video. I've had a very busy semester. However, it is almost over as it is finals week for me currently. And over the summer, I'm going to try to bring some more videos to the channel, as well as try and fit in with my work schedule. And obviously I'm going to the games still. But yeah, so we'll quickly go over what happened recently with the team. Now, the team has not done really well this year. After the game yesterday against San Jose Earthquakes, the Revolution are 3-8-2, which is last place in the Eastern Conference, as well as having the worst goal difference in the league. The worst goal difference really came after a really poor stretch of form. We had a 3-0 home loss to the Montreal Impact, a 4-4 draw with Sporting Kansas City on the road, in a game that we actually led twice and had 2 players sent off. Then we had a 6-1 defeat at the hands of Philadelphia Union on the road, and then we had a 5-0 defeat to Chicago Fire on the road. Now, the day after the Chicago Fire, which was Thursday, the game was Wednesday. On the Thursday, the Revolution sacked Brad Friedel as the manager. Now, he did not have a good time in New England as the manager, and there's a report saying he lost the locker room. I'm not sure, but the team was not playing well under him. So they ended up getting rid of him, which as much as I hate to see people lose a job, I do think it was the best thing going forward for the team, as they needed some new direction, as they clearly were not listening to Friedel and what was going on. So after firing Friedel, they hired assistant coach Mike Lapper to become the interim head coach, while Mike Burns, Brian Bolello, and the Crafts all continue to search to find the next head coach for the New England Revolution. So obviously, first game under Mike Lapper as the interim head coach, the Revolution took on San Jose Earthquakes, and they ended up having a convincing 3-1 win. Now, I actually do have clips from the game as I was there yesterday, so I'm going to insert them right now. So the Reds had a good game, had a few nice goals. Juan Agudelo, Christian Pena, and Carly Seal all getting some goals. A lot of good play. Team as a whole played really solid. However, again, this is the first game under Mike Lapper, so there is a chance that this game was just, the initial boost, but it's not going to be able to be sustained. I do still think this team does need some more help. We seriously need defensive depth, as currently we have 7 defenders on the roster, one of whom has not played all season. Then you have 3 center backs, with one of them is currently injured, and the other one was on the bench for yesterday's game, making our right back play centrally instead. So we only had really 5 defensive players in the 18, with De La Mea on the bench instead of starting. So we definitely need to get some defensive depth, and ideally I'd say a center back, because a left back, we do have Bai who can play there, Farrell's played there before, Castillo is our primary option, and Somi is there. But I do think they just need to get another center back. Now, I do think it should be someone who can start next to Jalil Anibaba, because right now I think Anibaba is the only guaranteed starter at center back. I think Castillo is pretty much locked in left back. Farrell is the deserving right back, and Anibaba should be a center back. but the spot next to him is kind of up for grabs. It's been between Mancienne, De La Mea, and even Farrell at points. Now, I do think Farrell is best suited wide, especially can allow Brandon Bye to push a little further forward because he's naturally a right mid. However, I do think the lineup the Revs used against San Jose was a very good one. I did like having Castillo at left back, Anibaba center back. Farrell was played centrally, and I don't like that, but it worked for the game. And obviously, Brandon Bye played right back, and I feel like he's better coming off the bench if we need defensive help. But looking at the midfield, Luis Caicedo, he's very much a very good shield for the back four. I believe it was Julian Baba who said that Caicedo is a very good shield in front of that back four, so I'm going to be happy with seeing him play for the future because, again, he's a workhorse and he's going to be a good job to help basically be a fifth defender, especially when we have our fullbacks pushing forward a lot. Then if you look at the rest of the midfield, we had Christian Penilla on the left and Juan Agudelo on the right. Juan Agudelo, he's played that right mid a few times this season, and every time he's played there, he's done wonders. He's revitalized his career almost as that right mid. Now, I do think he did score a goal. It's really good. I did think he was going to start up top at first. But at halftime, I realized he was playing wide. Then on the left, obviously, Christian Penilla, after being left out of the 18 against Chicago, finally got a chance to go back into the starting lineup, and he did really good. Got a penalty kick goal and was creating chances. Then looking at the top of our little midfield diamond that we created here is Diego Fagundes. Now, Diego's been played wide this year, and he hasn't played a lot. However, under Lapper, it was apparently Diego was saying that Mike Lapper told Diego directly that most likely he'll be playing in the middle, which is where Diego does prefer to be. He naturally is a better 10 than he is a winger, which I'm all for. Now, this for yesterday's game had Teal Bunbury and Carles Gil as the two forwards. Now, Gil played more of a deeper role because he does track back a lot defensively, and he also can go forward. Then obviously we had Teal Bunbury up top, who he drew the penalty kick, which Penilla converted. It was a great play by him to spin around past the defender and draw the penalty. However, I do like to see Juan Fernando Caicedo in that number 9 role because that's where he's best suited. And he is probably our best out-and-out finisher we have at the club, as proven by his 2 goals against Sporting Kansas City and his 1 goal in the next game against Philadelphia. So the Revolution definitely are slowly getting better. I do like this lineup as is, but we definitely need someone. I'm not sure who. Definitely need a defender to solidify it, but we need that DP in midfield. I don't think we need to replace Luis Caicedo because he's really good, but perhaps someone to play next to him and go back to a 4-2-3-1. However, the 4-2-3-1 did have its issues because of the way the attack would go. Now, thinking back, looking ahead at least, on Wednesday we have the Chelsea game, which I will be in attendance for. I'm looking forward to it, seeing a Premier League team against the Revolution. Yeah, it's a friendly, so it's not going to mean much. But I'm looking forward to seeing how the players are going to get some game time. To see if the players like Gabriel Somi, Nicholas Firmino, Justin Rennicks, actually probably not Rennicks because the US U20s, they have the World Cup coming up. But still, all these players who haven't been getting game time, I'm interested in seeing if they're going to get game time against Chelsea. And if so, how much? Now, one thing I do want to go into before, kind of now, after we're talking about all the results and everything, is kind of the state of the club. Now, obviously the Revolution, they did just fire Brad Friedel as their manager. He did not do well. He definitely there was something off. Now, I remember watching the Chicago game on TV, and right after the final whistle, he didn't stay around, shake hands with the other players. He shook hands with the other team's coach, Paunovic, and he went right down the tunnel and left. When I saw that, I knew that there was not much time left for him at the club. And obviously the next day, he was relieved of his duties. Now, the thing is, though, that Friedel definitely helps a bit. It's not everything. Revolution still they have work to do. And for me, I think the next step is looking at the GM position. Now, at the game yesterday, there were a lot of chants that were going against Mike Burns, who's the current GM. And I understand why. He's not done a great job. He's been in the club for a long time. I believe he's been working with the club since 2005, been the GM since 2011. However, he's hired 2 previous managers, Jay Heaps and Brad Friedel. Jay Heaps lasted just under 6 seasons, did go to 3 consecutive playoffs. However, he wasn't able to do much. The Revs kind of, especially the end of the Heaps era, it was a really bad time for the Revs fans. So after that, they ended up getting rid of him. And they worked hard. They brought in Brad Friedel, who at the time was I was thinking about it. I'm like, I do like this idea because he has experience over in England, not coaching in the first team, but he was working with the academy, so he knows how to work with young people. And he also did have connections in Europe to get the designated players, which I do think it did help getting Carles Gil, because Gil played at Aston Villa and Friedel was at Spurs at the time. So they definitely overlapped a little, so I definitely think that helped a bit in bringing Carles Gil to New England, which I do think is an amazing acquisition for the team. He's been our best player, leads the team with 4 goals, which ties his career high in goals, which was set in 2012-13 at Elche. So he's definitely getting he's doing really well for the team. But with Burns, he definitely hasn't had the best success, though, because Friedel did not work out well. Heaps had a good spell, but as a whole was kind of a failure. The issue with these signings is that he's kind of kept it close to him. Heaps was a legend of the club. He's done some color commentary in the past, but more importantly, again, as I said, he was a legend of the club. He spent many years with the teams, went to the few MLS Cups, so he's pretty much a club legend, an icon. However, he hadn't coached before, so he has 0 coaching experience, and he's thrown right into the position as head coach of the Revolution. So it did not work out well. I don't think that was a good choice. Then looking at Friedel, he has a little more experience working on the youth level, not the first team, and he also has coaching lessons, which I think was a huge positive. The issue is that Burns and Friedel were once roommates, and they were good friends. So Burns kind of went with somebody he knew and trusted to be the position, and it didn't work. So after the press conference that happened on Friday, he was saying that he's going to be one of the people in charge of finding a new head coach. This does worry me a little bit, because I don't want somebody who has a connection to the club in some way. And I've been seeing a lot of this on Twitter and everything, but I do want the Revs to look outside of the U.S. for the next manager. Our greatest manager of all time was definitely Stevie Nicol, and he was a great manager, and he had a lot of pedigree. So he was a very worthy manager for the Revolution. However, I'm not sure if we're able to get someone on his level. However, I do think if we can present enough upside, like if we can get some more news going with the stadium, if we can get that big DP, so obviously the Paul Jose Mpoku, that fell through because of Mpoku not wanting to join the club. All this kind of, if they can just change a little bit here and there, I think they very well could get a big name manager. So some of the managers I've heard not linked to the team, but who very well could be an option because they're not working right now. You have David Moyes. Not sure I'd want to see him in New England, but he's got that experience, been at Man United. Jose Mourinho, that's the most interesting name because he was at United, got released after doing poorly there. I think if he were to take charge of the Revolution, even if he only lasted for a few seasons, which I think he could last for a while, he still has a lot of upside. And then you're looking at possibly even inside MLS, there is Bruce Arena, who is probably I think he's a great manager. And now, obviously there is talk about Mike Lapper. He wants to be a potential option to be the new head coach for the Revolution. Now, obviously, he's going to get some time. He's going to get a look based on the performance he has this season. And he did say he modeled his style after Sigi Schmid, who was a great coach in MLS. And I think Sigi Schmid is the kind of coach we do need at this club. Someone who's positive, and they have that experience. I'm hoping Mike Lapper is able to provide some in the interim time, but I don't think he's going to be the best option for the future of the club. I do think we need to look over to Europe to try and get some European manager who is not at a club. Looking like the David Moyes, the Jose Mourinho, even possibly a Claudio Ranieri, because I don't believe he's staying at Roma much longer. So if Ranieri does leave Roma, he's open. I would gladly take the Tinkerer to go to New England because Ranieri's great. He led Leicester City to the Premier League a few years ago. So he's definitely capable of leading the revolution. And now, I do think a lot of this also does hinge on the stadium for getting the new coach as well as the new DPs, because obviously if we can get a stadium in Boston, attendance, it's going to be a lot better. Instead of having, like, there's 20,610 people at the game yesterday against the Quakes. The stadium can hold over 60,000. So that's only less than a third of the stadium was filled for a game that had the highest attendance of the season. That's not a good look for the team. They just need to get a stadium in Boston so more interest can be made, and they can do a little bit more. Because I think the Revolution, they have that potential. They haven't lived up to it yet. If you look at their team, I know a lot of people have said that this is a really poor Revs team. I don't think it's as poor as everyone says it is. If you look at our team from back to front, we have 3 options in goal who all some form of experience, and I think Turner and Krupper are far and away our 2 best goalies, and I'm fine with either of them starting. Defense is our only issue, as Castillo has not done great defensively this year, but has helped out a lot going forward. Farrell, to me, is probably the most consistent defender, but people aren't a fan of him. Then you look at center back, we have Delamea, Mancienne, and Alibaba. And Mancienne has not lived up to the hype. I think Alibaba has been very solid, but he obviously could be improved on. And Delamea is also kind of a little bit experienced, not the best though. I think if we can improve the defense, we'll have a really solid team. Because Pania, he's a great player. He did great last year. He hasn't done great this year, but I think he's going to have a little bit of a revival under Mike Lapper. Then Juan Agudelo is getting revitalized in that right mid role. You have Luis Caicedo and Scott Caldwell as holding mid options. I think they're both quality for the league. Then obviously you have Diego Fagundes, who can play the attacking mid, but I prefer Carles Gil being that number 10, because he is naturally a center midfielder to track back, but also be the most creative player on the field. Then looking up top, we do have the likes of Teal Bunbury, who is an MLS depth player, I believe, but when he's on, he's on. And then obviously Juan Fernando Caicedo, I think, is a quality striker for the league. And then I do also look at some youngsters. Tajon Buchanan, minutes after coming in this week, he used some scissors against the defender, created space, got an assist on the Carles Gil goal. So I think he's the future right now for this team. You look at the position, he plays a right mid normally. So Juan Agudelo plays up top instead, which I actually really enjoy. Because Juan can play that striker role where he holds up play a bit, or he can play that right mid role and just he's a tank. But I definitely think Tajon should get a lot more game time. But even looking at our younger players, you saw other players like Isaac Ganking hasn't really played much, but he's still a really good option in midfield. Nick Firmino, hasn't played yet. He's some really good talent. Then you look at Justin Rennicks, been called to the US U20 World Cup team. He's gonna be a stud for this team. He's an academy player. Even looking at DeJuan Jones, who came in for a bit on the game yesterday. He's 11th overall draft pick, and he's done really good. As the Revolution have the top 2 rookies from draft picks who have played the most minutes. As Tajon Buchanan is second only to DeJuan Jones in minutes played this season among the MLS Super Draft picks. So I think those 2 actually could be in the front rank for Rookie of the Year. Now, I do like this going forward for the Revolution. It's going to be a huge thing for their future as long as they can maintain these players. However, they still need to make some additions. And obviously, those will come over time. They just need to find a way to make these signings go through. Now, I do think Mpoku would have been a really good player for the club. I think it's actually probably better for the team that they didn't get him in, only because we already have a lot of attacking options. We need to get some midfield options and defense, especially. If we can get some world-class center back, who is, even if they're like 32, 33 years old, past their prime, I would still take them if they're world-class, because they still do a great job in the league. And if we can get like a Matt Miazga, who I know he may not be the best, he's still a young center back who's quite good actually, and he's got experience from a lot of different places. He's at Chelsea, but he's been on loan to different clubs. So I think if we can get a player like that, the Revs defense could be hugely improved. But again, they have to find the way to make these signings go through. And this all again comes back to the few people in charge. The GM, the owners, the president, and the coach. As I said, Mike Burns, not sure if he should be the GM for this club or not. I would say no. However, he has to try and find a way to make amends with the club. If he can find a way to right the wrong he's done, fair enough. If the Crafts can fund some signings that we want, if President Below can communicate well and help lead the organization, and obviously if Coach Mike Lapper or whoever becomes the permanent head coach after the search, they can help identify some good talent, like our scouting system that we have in Remy Roy and Sergio Nevelev. I think this team actually has a lot of promise. And I will say, obviously right now the season could be lost. For a lot of people are saying that the Revs are not making playoffs. We're looking more at the wooden spoon than we are at playoffs. I understand that, and I think this season, if we make playoffs, it's an amazing turnaround. However, I think we need to look as well at next year. Because if the Revolution can make some big signings this offseason, in the summer especially, it could be a huge thing. They just need to get these signings through, integrate the players into the team, especially no matter what position they are. But we need defenders especially, though. If we just integrate them into the team, I think this team in a couple of years could very well be challenging for MLS Cup. Now, it does sound like a biased opinion when I'm saying this, but I do look at our attack. We have a lot of young players. Carles Gil is in his late 20s, but he's like 26, 27, and he's still really good. Look at our all-around option, like Tajon Buchanan, he's a rookie. DeJuan Jones, rookie. Christian Pinilla, he's not old either. The core of our attack is either at their prime right now or approaching it. We don't have a lot of attacking options who are past their prime. Defensively, we are a little bit on the older side, but we still have like Andrew Farrell, who is quite young. Luis Caicedo is 23, I believe. So all these players we have a lot of younger talents. As long as we can maintain these players in our club and bring in a couple new players who are much better than we have, like especially getting a center back, like a Vincent Kompany. I know he might be leaving Manchester City. It's not guaranteed, but a player of his caliber. That is the type of player the Revolution need at center back. If we can get one or two players of that caliber, the world-class level, I think by 2020 season, 2021 even, this Revolution team could be challenging for MLS Cup. So yeah, that's why I've been thinking about this club going forward, and like what I do think. Obviously, our attention does have to turn to the Chelsea game during midweek, which I'm really looking forward to. But also, we do need to look to the Montreal game on Saturday, as that is the next league game. Obviously, then we have two more games before the break for the Gold Cup. So I think we have Montreal, DC, and LA Galaxy. If we can get I'd say 6 points is ideal from those three games, but at least 4 points. Trying to get a point up in Montreal, 3 points against DC, and trying to sneak something off LA potentially. I think it's actually a very successful little stretch before the break. And I think that break is going to be huge for the team going to try and turn things around. But yeah, so that's all I'm going to have for today's video. Sorry it was a bit of a long one. I just had a lot to talk about with this team, trying to express my feelings on what's going on with this club and how I think they can try help out going forward. If you want to see more of these videos going forward, like where I'm just talking to the camera, talking to you guys, so about the club, having almost like a podcast sort of thing, but not to the same length. So leave a like down below. You can subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we'll be back. I might have a vlog from the Chelsea game. So yeah, look forward to something coming in the near future. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.